All right, we're talking Martinsville here. Mark, in the live show, I got to eat crow, man. I'm sorry. We debated for a while. Go Hamlin and Ware or Larson and Yaley. I went Hamlin and Ware. I hate it. I was annoyed, pissed off. I hate it when I miss calls like that. Hate it when I miss Larson like that at Homestead. Anyway, looking at Martinsville this weekend, entering this weekend, I don't know why I've said that so many times, we did have a tire test a while back. It was in much warmer temperatures. It was about 30 degrees warmer when they tested the tires. They are bringing a different set of right compound tires and left compound tires, but in my opinion, I'm very skeptical that we're going to see anything different than what we saw in the spring race, okay? We're going to be in the high 50s in this race, mostly hovering around 61, 60, 59, 58 during race time, okay? So we're going to be dealing with a pretty cold track. Track temperature is probably going to be around 100, 110, somewhere around there, maybe even a little bit less. And so this track is going to have a ton of grip. Okay, these tires are going to have a ton of grip compared to what their tire test was telling them in the when they test the tires and everything. All right, and so when we're entering this week, and I've seen some things, and not just from the DFS community, but just in general, people thinking that, oh, this race will be better than the first Martinsville race. It's going to be great. I for one, it's hard for me to see that. Okay, so let's kind of go over the optimal real fast. And this was for me. I can't remember. It either the 15 either split, and I played the optimal, or I didn't play the optimal, but I had like a top 5 lineup. I don't remember, but this was the first big-ish win this year for me. I know I walked away between DraftKings and FanDuel was like $25, $26, $2,700 and like 180, maybe 200. Don't remember exactly. Got extremely lucky by just backdooring into Elliott and Byron. I know those two guys for sure, and I think I had Dylan in the line as well. But when we look specifically, I mean, yes, these two ran away with the race. Dylan pits off, Sequence gets out early when everybody is on older tires and is just peeling off fast laps. We can say the same thing with Blaine. A lot of these came from either different pit strategies and just different situations, and when people weren't in traffic. If we look through the fast laps, we're seeing that nearly everybody is going to run a fast lap in this race at some point, and that is either due to where they are in pit road, if they're not on pit road, where they are on the track, whether they're in lap traffic or not, whether they are pitting before everybody else, whether they are just running into, clean air for a few laps. Another thing that I think is going to be rather huge is, I mean, granted, these are the NASCAR notes. I finished the notes for Martinsville on Monday. Oh my God, this race was so hard to watch again. I've been working on this race for like 3 weeks, not gonna lie. All the other races I've made notes for, I get them done in like one day. I could sit down and watch. This race was hard to freaking watch, okay? But when we look at the amount of laps that we had, caution laps that we had practically no yellows, okay? We had 2 yellows with 8-9 to go with debris in turn 4 when NASCAR is like, all right, this race is going on long enough. Nobody's going to pass at all. And then with 7 to go, when Todd Gilliland locked up his tires and smacked the outside wall entering 3, no idea. I want to bring up the pit strategies real fast, is because when we look back at this race, we had a ton of people, because they had ran so long on old tires, they had worn them in and everything. When they came back out on cold tires, these guys were plowing up the track. These guys were overshooting corners. We almost had numerous cautions during the green flag pit stops due to the fact that people were just overblowing or blowing through these corners. They were just skidding through the entry, okay? Now, I know the crash with 89 to go did happen in the middle green flag pit stops, but that was a bunch of debris. It wasn't anybody necessarily wrecking, okay? The leader has I'm just going through some of my notes over here that I've written down. I want to show you. Let's go ahead and just watch this, okay? We'll just bang it out at 10x and let's really talk about it, all right? Because we're not seeing people pass at all. Like, there is absolutely no passing in this race, okay? Custer is a primary example of this. So Hamlin starts in the back of the field, okay? Hamlin should have a good car, based on practice, based on how well he does this track, blah blah blah. Hamlin starts in the back and he cannot move up, okay? Hamlin absolutely cannot move up. He gets trapped behind people, and we see that a lot. It doesn't matter if you were a good car, slow car. We had people getting trapped in traffic like crazy, okay? And the main reason why I'm saying that is because Hamlin had to start in the back of the field, nearly gets lapped in the first run just because you can't make positions. You can't pass anyone, okay? He's holding off Elliott for a free pass. It's really, really like dumb, just you can't pass. Now you might be like, oh, Hamlin just didn't have the car set up. Hamlin just didn't do anything. Okay, we finally had a pass under green with Byron passing Cole Custer there. Okay, but you might be like, hey, Hamlin just had a bad car. Hamlin wasn't able to get through the field. Custer runs inside the top 5 all day, okay? All day until he gets an uncontrolled tire under yellow flag pit stops. He goes in the back of the field. He's lapped like that. Like, it's absolutely wild. The caution period between stage 2 and stage 3, or when at the end of stage 2, Custer gets an uncontrolled tire. He had been in the top 5 all day. 138 laps to go in the race. Byron laps Cole Custer. Like, it does not matter that Custer had a top 5 car all day, had a top 5 car in terms of speed, but even when you say in terms of speed, all these guys are so close together. All these lap times are absolutely so close together. You can't make any positions whatsoever. Okay, at this point, I think I'm just going to play the entire race for you as we just continue talking, all right? And so when we're looking at how these cars specifically are handling on this track, yes, we've heard a lot of drivers talk about the diffuser. We've heard a lot of drivers talk about how these cars are acting, but and the dirty air that it's playing along. Like, here's Hamlin fucking, dicking around with Elliott trying to stay on the lead lap. And he ends up losing the free pass with McDowell getting lapped at the very end. And the way that this car is handling on this track, it has the max amount of grip. I know that this was a night race, but the reason why I'm talking so much about the temperature that we're going to see this weekend is because this car with the basically 4 corners. I mean, duh, every car has 4 corners. Okay, it's always been that way. But when you look at how the suspension, and also look at this, Elliott makes the pass for the lead on pit lane at the end of stage 1. This is the only pass for the lead all day. Okay, there is no passing here. Let's as we get, and we have like these guys go fucking green at like lap 90. I don't know why they're just taking forever in this race to get this race restarted. I have no idea why it's taking so freaking long to get, like, we're 10 laps to a stage. But watch how this restart unfolds. Like, yes, we got a teammate, we got Byron on the inside, and it went by pretty fast, but the leader is just absolutely gone, okay? In that situation to where Elliott was starting the outside, Byron was on the inside, Byron lets Elliott in. Later in the race, when Elliott is leading and starting the inside lane, he's just fucking gone. There is no competition for the lead on these restarts at all. There is nothing, okay? We are 12 laps into a run. We're single file. We're not making any other passes. We're not doing anything in this race, all right? We're not doing anything, all right? So, anyway, going back to the 4 corners and why I believe that we're going to just see the same thing as this in this race is because the way this rear end acts is not like, the old car. It's not like Xfinity. It's not like the trucks, okay? Because we have 2 independent corners of this vehicle, okay? You can't just get into the bumper and like lift the rear tires off of somebody and bump them out of the way. You can't. If you hit these guys, the grip, the weight of the car just transfers to the right side, okay? You're not going to move them up the track. You're not going to do anything. You can go and whack the shit out of somebody. Like late in this race, we have, I think it's Logano at the very end of the race. He tries to move Byron, and he just cannot move him. Like, these guys basically just park in front of each other. They downshift in the corners. You just park in front of the guy, and he doesn't move you, okay? This is why I'm saying I understand, like, Fox isn't the greatest here, but, like, do we see any passing at all? No. Up top? No. Like, I'm sure they're passing each other. I mean, clearly from the optimal, we're seeing guys slowly move up through the field from 20th, all the way into the top 10 over the course of a whole day. In addition, and really what helped a lot of those guys is that last caution period when people start pitting with around 108 laps to go in the race, and that ends up going all the way to that lap 89 caution. That's really what gains a lot of positions for people, because if that would have cycled out, some guys would have lost positions. I don't think Austin Dillon would have maintained a running position inside the top 5 at the end of the day if it was not due to the fact that he had a pit road strategy that really worked out in that, okay? So here's Logano passing Custer. It's been the same 5 guys up front all day. Like, nobody's passing in this race, all right? Blaney has a good car, but like Blaney got by Byron because Byron let him by. Like you see, Byron went high, let him by, and that was it. Here we go. Bell clearly has a faster car than Cole Custer, and he just can't get him. I even wrote down like Custer's like slowing the field down as like Bell clearly has a faster car than Cole Custer. Okay, and so Custer's holding up Bell. At that point, Eric Almirola has a faster car than Bell, so he's able to get there. And then Bell just, keeps getting stuck on the outside with people like dive bombing. But like nobody's actually passing at all because Bell used up his tires trying to catch up to Cole Custer. All right, like we're not gonna have like gigantic passes or anything at this point. Look, we're already into stage 2. All right, here this situation we're gonna see it again to where Cole Custer loses his tire here in this race, and this is something I don't necessarily want to do each and every time. I know it'd be very easy, but I mean that's what the notes are for, and this is going by really, really fast stuff. But it's because I've been whatever. I do this all the time. I'm just showing this because I've seen nothing on Twitter about actually there's a lot of passing on Martinsville. Martinsville was a pretty average track. Well, no, it's just like the days of like 2018 to where they had incredibly high downforce. Like you couldn't fucking pass anybody here at Martinsville. Okay, and the reason why, and we're gonna see this. So Custer gets his uncontrolled tire penalty, right? It's insane how many laps they do under yellow here. It's absolutely insane. Oh yeah, so here's another sense. Like they're talking about tire wear and stuff, and actually here we go again. So yet again, I mean, this whole race was Hendrick teammates like helping each other out and giving each other the lead and stuff. But like, dude, there's nothing, man. All the passes were done on pit road today. Okay, everybody's on the inside. Like you're just trapped. Like everybody's on the inside. Everybody's single file. Like once you just fall in line, look at the whole fucking field. They're single file. They got 200 laps to go. We're like 7 laps into a run, and nobody's passing. We have like three to four car lengths between all the leaders, and then everybody else just a train because everybody's parking in front of them. Everybody's downshifting. Like you can't pass at all. Now, as I mentioned, Cole Custer, a man who, statistically speaking, had a top 5 car all day based on where he was, based on where he qualified, based on the lap times he was running. He can't pass at all. Nobody can pass, okay? And so the leaders slowly run him down, and he ends up getting lapped. It's absolutely crazy. So we go green with like 200 to go. Custer is lapped with 138 to go. So it takes Cole Custer like right at 60 laps to get lapped. It's absolutely insane. And look how fast. Actually, let me just fast forward here a little bit. Still, there's no passing. Like, what are we talking about? I understand that we've had Martinsville races in the past that have no passing. Like, that's okay. I'm not arguing that this car has ruined Martinsville. I'm just saying when we're approaching this race this weekend, I'm gonna chase like guys in top 5. I'm chasing the lap leaders because if you miss on the person who leads laps in this race, you're done. Like there is no ifs, ands, or buts. Okay, and this race is only 400 miles. This week it's 500. Thank God it goes green, so the race will be over. Like this whole race took 2 hours and 48 minutes. This week's race, let's get done in 3.5 hours and call it a day. All right, that's how I want to look at it. Okay, so we're like 7 to go from Custer being lapped. It's wild. And look, so Custer's holding up Byron and Elliott. Chastain moves past Elliott, but people just you can't pass anyone. Like nothing happens. And I believe that's Suarez. Clearly, I'm going by this like really fast. I believe Suarez is on new tires at this point. Something happened. Somebody pitted early. That's why he was able to actually get by Byron. But look, everybody's just single file. There's no passing. So when we're looking at this race and we're looking at how I want to build lineups, it is very much going to be qualifying. It's absolutely where people qualify for me. Okay. That's just how it is. Okay. Like you can have a good car, you can have top 5 speeds, but if you qualify 9th, you're not going to get the lead in stage 1. That's just how it is. Like you are absolutely not driving from 9th to 1st under green flag at Martinsville this weekend. That's just how it is. You are absolutely not driving from 11th to 1st under green flag conditions. what you have to do is go from 11th to like 4th under green and beat him on pit road. And I don't think that is going to happen because, look, green flag speed is so slow here. It's 35, okay? The leaders will be decided on pit road. So if we can nail and have an idea of who's going to be running from like 1st to 4th, I would look at it as we can pick, or we can have a good chance of laying on who gets the lead on pit lane. So I want to try and nail like the top 4 runners, okay? And the reason why I focused on Custer so much and wanted to explain what went on with him. So Custer, if we look at how he did in terms of points, he ended up getting 2.75 fast laps in this race. He ends up losing 18 positions because he just can't pass anybody again. But Custer was $6,100. If Custer does not get that tire penalty, it's not like people were moving people out of the way. It's not like we were getting crashes here, which, I mean, anything can happen. It is NASCAR. It's these guys racing to race at Phoenix in the Final Four. But if we get people starting inside the top 10 in the 6K ranges and the 5K ranges, I know we had Gillen last weekend at Homestead. He ends up wrecking. Very risky play there. But this is a situation where if we get somebody in the 6K range starting inside the top 10 this weekend, I want to play them. Okay? Yes, they can get killed by pit road, by the place differential plays in the 6K range. I understand that. But that's the value I want to attack. Okay? Let me check the actually it's right over here. Let's go ahead and look at the salaries this weekend. So people, let's really focus from like 7,000 to 53. So that's Eric, Busher, Jones, McDowell, Custer, Ty Gibbs, Stenhouse, Haley, Burton, and Ty Dillon. Okay? If Eric Amarola starts top 10, I'm going to play him. Busher, Jones starts top 10, I'm going to play him. If McDowell, actually, well, clearly anybody here, but like when I'm splitting hairs and stuff, the people I would be worried about is like Harrison Burton, which I don't even think he's going to qualify up there. I don't think Ty Dillon's going to qualify up there, so I don't think we have to worry about it. I think Ty Gibbs is going to be a really good play, specifically because he's going to probably run really good in the Xfinity Series race. Okay, and this was clearly a race that Ty Gibbs is going to perform well at. Okay, so I think Ty Gibbs at $6,100 is going to be a fantastic play, regardless of where he starts. And I understand that we had, let me look at the optimals again. We had, man, it's here. Let's put this back on. It's insane how fast the drop off is here. Like this is I would argue 12 drivers that are playable. Let's actually count the guys who went over 5x here. All right, so I think this is the let's see. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm watching the FPPK right here. 5, 6. Actually, what the fuck am I doing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 drivers hit value in this race. 13 drivers were playable. That is your pool. Okay, so when we look at a lot of the expensive guys, even with some place differential from these people here, if I don't see them getting the lead, if I don't see these people here getting the lead, not playing them. I cannot play them. You know, if I'm going to spread out ownership, it's going to be because hopefully I land on somebody who gets the lead. Hopefully I land on somebody who's able to get the lead on pit road. If I remember correctly, I had nearly no Byron in the spring race. Let me go and look at my lineups real fast. In this situation where, I mean, I don't know if this is helping at all or not. This is a situation where when I look at lines and stuff, I try and, if I'm playing people, I'm trying to find situations where that line can be unique or that line can actually work. And I think this is a great example. So when we look at Martinsville, if I can find a Cup Series at, let me move this over here. Cup Series at I probably had it labeled as Cup at Martinsville. Probably. Cup. Yep. So when we look at Martinsville, how I approached it here. At 100% Chase Elliott, okay? As in, I think it's going to be very, very difficult for the leader, for whoever starts first, to not lead the first stage, okay? And Chase Elliott, who's been really good at Martinsville, you know, where are we at, Chase? Actually, he's a finishing 10th. But, what's wrong? Where are we at? Here we go. When we look at Chase Elliott, or why I was 100% of Chase Elliott, I think it's going to be very difficult for the leader to get through. Byron must have been either price or practice speed that I liked. 1, 2, 3, 4. Only had 4 lines with Byron. Okay. Which is at only a 5th. Austin Dillon. I'm assuming that my Byron Dillon line, if I had, I actually did not play Dillon. Interesting. I don't remember what line it was that did extremely well in this race. It was one of the Byron lines, but I will probably be more aggressive. So looking back at how I built lines last time, I think I was leaning more on this race, leaning to more passing, okay? And I think the reason why I chased these guys here, looking back at practice, looking back at how Q went for the spring, I thought there'd just be more passing, okay? When we look at Kyle Busch, Blaney, Cindric, Logano, Bowman, so Logano, Blaney, Kyle Busch, Bowman. Sure, yes, they got fast laps here and there. They all nearly scored the same way. None of them made the optimal, okay? Due to how pricing was. They were at like 6x, 5.8 and stuff like that, but they could not pay it off. I'm thinking that if Dillon doesn't make the I'm trying to understand what happens in this race. If that caution, this caution here, we'll find the yellow here. So everybody's like going into pit, right? People fucking sliding up because they got cold tires on, everything. We get a caution like right while green flag pit stops are going on, you know. So some of the guys are pitting, some of the people were trapped lap down, some people weren't, you know. I think Hamlin ran out of fuel or something. We get that fucking debris. I don't know what a bullshit debris caution. Okay, so we get a majority of leaders go back down pit lane. Some people get a wave around, but like this caution is what changes the dynamic. Okay, so let's slow this down really fast. So let's look at where. I still want this to go by fast, but let's look at the running order real fast at this point. And yes, I could go into the lap by lap data here, but I'd rather just show it to you in this case. Let's get them all side by side. Okay, so at this point, looking at optimal, Austin Dillon, Chastain, Jones. Let's focus on those three. Austin Dillon, Chastain, Chastain mispriced. Austin Dillon, Jones. Where are they running here? Okay, Austin Dillon up front. Chastain up front. Where does Eric Jones finishes 13th. So where is he in this sense? I guarantee you Eric Jones, can't really see him in the background. Bet you Eric Jones is in the top 15 right here. Just gonna look at the running order at the very top. I will be shocked if he's outside top 15. Yep. Okay, so at this point here, 80 laps to go. The optimal, and going back and remembering how this race played out, my winnings did not change with the caution with like 7 to go from Gilliland. At this point, the optimal lineup is set. Really. Okay, we might have some changes here and there, but the optimal line with 80 laps to go. Let's see where everybody is right now. So Byron Elliott clearly 1 and 2. Dillon's in 3rd. Chastain's in the top 5. Where is Ty Dillon? Which he is the so he finishes 23rd. Let's see how close Ty Dillon is to 23rd right at this restart. So Ty Dillon is 24th. This lineup, the optimal does not change. Okay, optimal is set in stone right here with 79 to go. Okay, why am I focusing so much on that? I don't think we're going to see a lot of passing at all. You know, this race goes 100 laps, and the optimal does not change, really. Okay? Let's take a gander one last time. Let's just see how this kind of pans out here. You know, we won't go to like 10x and stuff. We'll go slightly high, and like there's no passing whatsoever. Yes, I mean they're double file here, field's double file, but now everybody's like dive bombing to the bottom, and it's just not working out. Like everybody's still side by side. You know, there's no passing. Once you get in line, you really can't move anybody. Okay, leaders are gone. Field is single file. You know, like anywho. So when we look at pricing this weekend, excuse me, and we look at how I want to build lineups and everything, I want to just chase whoever I think is going to lead, or I want to chase and try and land on guys who are in lead laps. And I want to chase starting positions, to be honest with you, okay? Outside of people messing up in pit lane, outside of people getting stupid here and there, I don't think we're going to see a lot of passing in this race, okay? So that's how I want to approach it, and it's really going to be based off of what the qualifying order is. Real quick, related to Patreon, because we do have the one race in November. We still have F1 through November. For the NASCAR package, the $40 one, we're going to leave it going through November. If you guys don't want to stick around for the one race in November, I understand. We're going to use that more as like a thank you for like the send-off for the off-season. I'm going to pause all the tiers in December, entering January, because this year we opened the Patreon on January for people who wanted to dive into the stuff during like the little preseason, just getting ready for the season. Okay, we're going to open it back up in January. And so if you're a part of the $40 or $60, I haven't decided what I'm going to do with the 60 yet, because F1 is still going through November. However, like if you stay on the NASCAR and F1 tier, like you're still getting the NASCAR race in Phoenix. You're still getting the 2 F1 races. So I'm probably going to keep all the tiers going through November. I'm going to pause all 3 of them in December. The 2 NASCAR runs are coming back in January for sure. Not sure if we're still going to do F1 next year. We've been debating. I'm leaning to drop an F1 on the Patreon, just because the DFS product has been lacking. I think they'll make some changes, but we'll see from there. But anyway, in terms of billing and stuff, the Patreon is going to be active on November 1st. So if you don't want to pay for the one race, or if you don't want to say thank you during the off season, I understand. But that'll remain green. I'll pause it in December so nobody gets charged in December, so you don't feel like you have to cancel in November. It'll give you notification saying like, hey, BrandonCruzDFS has paused billing for the month of December. Okay, we will start billing again in January. Okay, so I just want to give you a heads up there on Patreon. I'm sure I'll announce that in more detail in live shows and next week and everything like that. Let me go ahead and do the Xfinity Series race preview, and then we'll be all good to go until live shows this weekend. So thank you very much for watching and listening.